Hello again, everyone, and welcome to this video on removing sensitive information from a GitHub repo. Specifically, in this video, we are going to walk through how to remove a .env file you may have inadvertently committed and then pushed to GitHub. Now, if you're watching this video because you just did this, the best first step is to shut down any sensitive information. That would be rotating an API key, deleting a service account, changing a password, depending on what you might have pushed. So if that applies to you, I would highly suggest stopping this video, go doing that, invalidating the credentials, and then come back for the cleanup. With that out of the way, let's jump right in. So here I am in my GitHub account in my repositories, and for this we are going to create a new repository. I'm just going to call this oopsie env, and demo to remove .env file. That seems right. I won't add a readme. I will do that in a moment. And we just need to copy that SSH, and I will make this bigger, and we are just going to clone that locally. And it is indeed empty. I just need to cd into that and then start Visual Studio Code. All right. So I'm going to make a readme. .md for markdown. Make that a little bigger if I can. I don't know, my new awesome project. Control S to save that. Give ourselves a little more room here. And I'm going to open up a terminal with Control tick mark, Control and then probably the key under your escape key, and we can see git status, and the readme is untracked. To track that, I can git add readme, or if there are several files and I want to track them all, just git add dot. And I do need to commit my changes, so git commit added readme file. And to push those changes, git push. And once that's done, I should be able to come back here and refresh and see the readme file displaying. And that all looks good. Okay, so say I'm working, I get in a hurry, I make my .env file my super secret, API key equals hello world. Go ahead and save that. And let's just pretend I added a bunch of other files and kind of got lost in the mix. I didn't add a git ignore, which, if you're not familiar, a git ignore file specifies to Git what files to ignore when pushing to a remote repository, in this case GitHub. If you're not familiar, you can definitely Google that, but let's keep moving on. I'm going to git add all the files I've been working on all day, git commit, added homepage and database connection, git push. And then about this time, I see the .env file and go, oh shoot, that has a bunch of passwords, API keys, things like that. Why is that bad? Well, there are a lot of bad actors out there with bots that are scanning GitHub all the time, looking for these exact secrets, keys, passwords, and there are quite a few horror stories out there where people say push credentials for AWS to GitHub, and within 5 minutes they log into their account and they see that those credentials have been used to spin up very high cost virtual machines that are mining Bitcoin, and then by that time they are stuck with a very high bill, and unfortunately the outcomes of those cases are kind of dicey. But just be aware, guard your secrets well on the internets. Okay, back to panic mode. Oh shoot, I've got my .env file here. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to commit that change. Fine, deleted env. I just don't want it in my repo anymore. Okay, so if I come back here, we're good, right? Wrong. So if we go to the commits here and we go to edit homepage and database connection, well, my secret is still visible. So this is in the commit history. How do we get rid of it? Well, there are several ways. I think the easiest tool for this is something called, I believe it's BFG Cleaner, and that is what we will be walking through today. Yes, the BFG Repo-Cleaner. You can see the GitHub repo here. And that'll walk through several things. It also can clean up large files. But I'll leave it up to you if you want to read through this, make that a little bigger. If you didn't spot it, there is a download here. You could copy that link in wget. I'm just going to click and download the darn thing. And that should just take a few seconds here. And while that's going, there are some, I don't know, clever ways you can keep your existing repository, things like that, after cleaning the repo. But the way I'm going to walk through this, I'm assuming you are the only one working on this project. You don't have any collaborators with rights to merge changes and things like that. If you were in such a group, you would want to let everyone know. There would probably be a mass kind of repull where you clean the repo, everyone would delete their local copy, pull the fresh cleaned one, and move on from there. Okay, so you should have Java installed. I'm on Linux Mint, so I do have Java. If you do not have Java, you would just need to install that and then run the commands as given here. And let's see, this one doesn't have it, but just be aware we are going to actually git clone mirror, which is different than regular git clone because it's going to give us some other information on branches, tags, things like that. It doesn't have a working directory where you can work on the code per se, but you can kind of just wave your hand at all of that. So let's set up BFG, then we'll clean the repository, push it, and we'll go from there. Okay, so if we go to our terminal here, I'm just going to sudo mv for move, starting at my home directory. That's what the tilde is. I'm going to move the jar file I just downloaded, and I'm going to move that to user local bin. Put in my password. Actually, let me control C that. I think I need a slash there. And if we go to user local bin, we can see that we have the BFG jar file there. Okay. And I believe in here, yes. So to run that, it's java-jar BFG jar. And let me go ahead and open up my notes here on another screen. So if you're on Linux or Mac, you should have a bashrc or .bashrc or .profile. And I'm going to go ahead and alias this. That way I don't have to type out java-jar and then the path to the jar. I can just run it in one command. So to do that, I'm going to nano my bashrc file, Control-End, and alias. Let me make sure I get this right. I'm going to call this BFG equals java-jar, and that should be user local bin, and let me grab that name one more time. User local bin ls grep bfg, and actually let me do this. I'm going to move. In Linux, move and rename are kind of the same thing. So I'm just going to make that bfg.jar. Put in my password again because it's a new terminal. ls grep bfg. All right. And then we can just say bfg.jar. And that all looks correct to me. Control X, Y to save, enter to keep the name. And now we need to, well, let me Control L to give us some space. And now you'd imagine I could just BFG, but actually I need to source my bashrc file like so. And now that is good. Okay, so now for the cleaning part. If we go back here, we're back in the commit that has the bad file. And let's see. Again, the easiest way to do this would be, there's probably a few things you want to do. You probably want to move or copy .env to somewhere safe. In my case, I'm going to move that to my home directory and just give it .bak for backup. And I'm going to then remove this local directory. Oh, RF, not RM. So that is RM for remove, -RF, recursive and force, because it's a directory. And you see that's crossed out. Okay, coming back here, we do need to grab that SSH again. And we are going to make sure that's big enough. We are going to git clone, but again, this time mirror. And now the autocomplete, you'll see, is a little different. And if we open it up, oh, did I not change directory there? Oh, I didn't give it the dot to let it know to open right here. So you see branches, hooks, info, objects. I'm actually not familiar with all of those, but at least for this demo, I don't need to be, and neither do you. Okay, so the first thing we are going to want to do is BFG delete files.env, and We do have some nifty commands here. We want git reflog expire now all git gc garbage collection, which if you're not familiar, just kind of, well, garbage collects things that are orphaned. Prune now aggressive, and if we run that, let's see, we just need to git push -- force, and let's check our repo now. So if we go to the commits, the .env file is now gone. So how do we avoid this going forward? Well, we are going to come back. Oh, and one thing before I leave that, I did run into an issue a few days ago when I ran the reflog expire now and the garbage collection. I actually looked, and the .env file was still in the commit history for whatever reason. It seems like it might have gotten confused doing both of these commands in one line. I couldn't reproduce that behavior, but just kind of a heads up, double check the commit history, make sure it was taken out. I just reran it. It worked fine the second time, but just something to be aware of, so you don't go through this process and then, a week later something pops up and you look and that .env file was still there. So this directory served its purpose, so we can go ahead and rmrf this guy into oblivion. And let's see, we can actually just up arrow. Oh, I didn't pull it here. I pulled it in this terminal. So we just need to git clone it without the mirror. Oh, let me get back to my home directory, and as I said, we will git clone that without the mirror. Move this over so everyone can see. And now if we cd into the directory, and actually we can go ahead and close that. Okay, now first thing we want to do is make a git ignore. I think I spelled that right. .env. Control S to save that. And then here, again, open a terminal. What do I want to do? I want to move that backup of my .env file to here. And if we look, there is our API super secret API key, I should say. And now git status, and we are going to add that. Notice the presence of the git ignore lets it say, okay, .env isn't being tracked, but you know what? We were told to ignore it. And we can just commit that. Added .git ignore file, git push. And if we look here now, we have the git ignore. We do not have the .env. And of course, there's no .env there. We can git pull. We are up to date. We could do something like, I don't know, index.html, just because I don't know, OCD, like testing stuff. You know what, I'm not even going to put text in there. I'm just going to add it, git commit, added index file, and then git push. Push, there we go. Git status, and we are up to date with origin main. And if we come back here, we now have our index file. Nothing wrong with triple OCD. Yeah, so, all right. So I think that about wraps it up. Again, just a few things to reiterate. If you do accidentally push any sensitive data to GitHub, the first thing you want to do is go out there and invalidate those credentials, those service accounts, those API keys. Just find a way to nuke them, revoke them, rotate them, just get them down as soon as possible. And then you probably want to take any of that sensitive information that you need. Well, if you invalidated them, you could just delete those and regenerate them. But again, mirror when you get clone, clean it with BFG, push the changes back up to GitHub, delete your local repo, and then repull, and make sure to use that gitignore file. So I think that's it for this video. Be safe out there, and I will see you in another one.